Every 23 seconds in the United States, one person is diagnosed with cancer. By the age of 70, nearly 1 in 3 adults will have faced some form of this disease. And here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. In a significant number of those cases, the cancer did not begin with genetics. It did not begin with bad luck. It began with what that person ate or failed to eat over the previous 20 to 30 years. A landmark report by the World Cancer Research Fund, one of the most rigorous scientific bodies analyzing the relationship between diet and cancer, concluded that approximately 30 to 50% of all cancers are directly linked to dietary and lifestyle choices. That means somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of every cancer diagnosis could have been influenced and in many cases prevented by what was on the plate. Yet, in 15 years of clinical practice, I have never once seen a doctor hand a patient a list of specific foods with the clinical evidence for why each one protects against cancer at the cellular level. That changes today. Subscribe to Dr. Stephen, the Green Physician, right now and hit that like button. This channel exists because the healthcare system profits when you stay sick, not when you get well. Nature already has the answers. Someone just needs to say it out loud. Help us reach our next milestone. Every subscriber means one more person gets information their doctor will never give them. Picture this. It is a Tuesday morning. You are sitting in the oncologist's waiting room. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. The magazine in your lap is 6 months old, and you are not reading it anyway. Your name is called. You walk down a hallway that smells like antiseptic and sit on a paper-covered table. The doctor tells you they found something. In that moment, everything changes. Your past becomes a series of questions. What did I miss? What could I have done differently? Could I have stopped this? I have sat across from hundreds of patients in that exact moment, and the one thing I wish I could give every single one of them is time. Time to go back 10, 15, 20 years and make different choices in their kitchen, because the science is extraordinarily clear. Specific compounds in specific foods do not just reduce cancer risk in some abstract statistical way. They operate at the cellular level through documented, measurable biological pathways. They repair damaged DNA. They activate your body's own tumor suppression genes. They cut off the blood supply that feeds cancerous growth. They trigger cancer cells to self-destruct through a process called apoptosis, while leaving your healthy cells completely unharmed. These are not theories. These are findings published in the most respected medical journals in the world. And the 5 foods I am about to show you contain the most concentrated, most studied, most potent versions of these compounds found anywhere in nature. This is what I call a green prescription, no pharmacy required. Before I begin, I need to tell you something as a physician. This video is educational. It is built on peer-reviewed science from institutions including Johns Hopkins University, Harvard Medical School, the National Cancer Institute, and the American Association for Cancer Research. But it is not a substitute for a conversation with your own doctor. If you have an active cancer diagnosis, if you are undergoing chemotherapy, radiation, or targeted therapy, please discuss any dietary changes with your oncologist first. Some of these compounds can interact with specific medications. I will flag those interactions as we go. With that said, what you are about to learn is backed by thousands of published studies, and it is information that every adult over 50 deserves to have. Food number 1, broccoli sprouts. Not broccoli, not cauliflower. Specifically, broccoli sprouts. And the distinction matters enormously. Inside every cruciferous vegetable, there is a compound called glucoraphanin. When you chew or crush the plant tissue, an enzyme called myrosinase converts glucoraphanin into sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is one of the most extensively studied anti-cancer compounds in nutritional science. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University, led by Dr. Paul Talalay, first identified sulforaphane's extraordinary ability to activate what are called phase 2 detoxification enzymes. These enzymes are your body's internal hazmat team. They neutralize carcinogens, reactive oxygen species, and environmental toxins before those substances can reach your DNA and cause the mutations that initiate cancer. In a study published by the American Association for Cancer Research, sulforaphane was shown to inhibit breast cancer stem cells, the most treatment-resistant population within a tumor. The National Cancer Institute has documented that sulforaphane induces cell cycle arrest and apoptosis in prostate, bladder, and colon cancer cells. It blocks the activity of histone deacetylases, enzymes that cancer cells exploit to silence your tumor suppressor genes. In plain language, cancer switches off your body's defense systems. Sulforaphane switches them back on. Now here is the critical detail. Mature broccoli contains sulforaphane. But broccoli sprouts, the 3 to 5 day old seedlings, contain 20 to 50 times more sulforaphane per gram than the adult plant. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between a whisper and a shout. The green prescription is this: grow or purchase fresh broccoli sprouts. Add roughly 30 grams, about a small handful, to your meals 4 to 5 times per week. The single most important preparation rule is this: do not cook them. Heat above 60 degrees Celsius destroys the myrosinase enzyme, and you lose the conversion to sulforaphane entirely. Eat them raw, on top of a salad, in a sandwich, blended into a smoothie, or simply chewed on their own. If you prefer cooked broccoli, steam it for no more than 3 to 4 minutes. And here's a tip most people have never heard. If you must cook your broccoli, add a pinch of mustard seed powder after cooking. Mustard seeds contain their own myrosinase, and that enzyme will rescue the sulforaphane conversion even after heat has destroyed the broccoli's own enzyme. Research from the University of Illinois confirmed this synergy in a study published in the British Journal of Nutrition. Food number 2. Blueberries. These small, unremarkable-looking berries contain one of the most powerful classes of anti-cancer compounds identified in any fruit. They are called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are the pigments responsible for the deep blue and purple color you see in blueberries, blackberries, and purple grapes, but their role extends far beyond color. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry by researchers at Rutgers University found that phenolic compounds extracted from blueberries inhibited the proliferation of colon cancer cells by up to 50%. The same study found that anthocyanin fractions produced a 2 to 7-fold increase in DNA fragmentation in those cancer cells, a direct measure of apoptosis. The cancer cells were being triggered to destroy themselves. A separate study from the University of Illinois, published in the journal Molecules, showed that blueberry anthocyanins downregulate the expression of genes involved in cancer cell invasion and metastasis, the process by which cancer spreads from one organ to another. The American Institute for Cancer Research lists blueberries among its foods that fight cancer, specifically citing their ability to reduce oxidative stress, lower chronic inflammation, and protect DNA from the damage that precedes cancer initiation. For seniors, there is an additional consideration that makes blueberries especially important. After the age of 50, your body's endogenous antioxidant production, meaning the antioxidants your cells manufacture internally, declines measurably. You become increasingly reliant on dietary sources of antioxidant protection. Blueberries are among the most concentrated dietary sources of antioxidants measured by the ORAC scale, oxygen radical absorbance capacity. The green prescription is simple: 1 cup, approximately 150 grams of fresh or frozen blueberries daily. Frozen blueberries retain their anthocyanin content almost identically to fresh. Add them to oatmeal in the morning, eat them as a snack in the afternoon, or blend them into a smoothie. One important note: avoid blueberry juice from the store. Commercial juicing removes the fiber and concentrates the sugar, and it is the whole berry, with its intact fiber matrix, that delivers the full anti-cancer benefit. Food number 3, turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin. In the past 2 decades, over 12,000 peer-reviewed papers have been published on curcumin. That number alone should tell you something about how seriously the scientific community takes this compound. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural inhibitors of NF-kappa B ever identified. NF-kappa B is a protein complex that acts as a master switch for inflammation in your body. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is now recognized as one of the primary drivers of cancer development. The World Health Organization and the National Cancer Institute have both identified chronic inflammation as a significant risk factor for cancer initiation and progression. When NF-kappa B is chronically activated, it promotes tumor cell survival, suppresses apoptosis, stimulates blood vessel growth into tumors, a process called angiogenesis, and blocks your immune system from recognizing and destroying abnormal cells. Curcumin interrupts this process at multiple points. A review published in the journal Molecules analyzed curcumin's effect on over 700 genes and concluded that it modulates virtually every major signaling pathway involved in cancer development, including the JAK-STAT pathway, the PI3K-AKT pathway, and the WNT signaling pathway. An NIH-funded systematic review published in the journal Biofactors concluded that curcumin demonstrates anti-cancer activity against breast, colorectal, pancreatic, prostate, and lung cancers in preclinical models. A clinical trial published in Clinical Cancer Research administered curcumin to patients with advanced pancreatic cancer who had failed conventional chemotherapy. One patient showed a 73% regression of tumor size. Now here is the practical challenge. Curcumin has poor bioavailability when consumed alone. Your liver metabolizes it rapidly, and most of it never reaches your bloodstream. The green prescription addresses this directly. Take 500 to 1,000 milligrams of curcumin daily with two critical cofactors. First, always consume it with a fat source. Curcumin is lipophilic, meaning it dissolves in fat and absorbs dramatically better when taken alongside olive oil, avocado, eggs, or coconut oil. Second, add freshly ground black pepper. A study from St. John's Medical College in India, published in the journal Planta Medica, found that piperine, the active compound in black pepper, increases curcumin bioavailability by 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000%. A quarter teaspoon of black pepper transforms curcumin from a compound your body barely absorbs into one that reaches therapeutic levels in your bloodstream. You can use turmeric root freshly grated into meals, turmeric powder in cooking, or a standardized curcumin supplement. If using supplements, look for formulations that already include piperine or that use phospholipid delivery systems, sometimes labeled as phytosomal curcumin, which independently improve absorption. Food number 4. Green tea, specifically its dominant catechin, epigallocatechin 3-gallet, commonly abbreviated as EGCG. Green tea has been consumed in East Asia for over 4,000 years. Japanese and Chinese populations, which have historically the highest per capita green tea consumption in the world, also have significantly lower rates of several cancers compared to Western populations. Correlation does not prove causation. But when you look at the laboratory and clinical data on EGCG, the mechanism becomes remarkably clear. EGCG induces apoptosis in cancer cells through activation of caspase enzymes, the same molecular executioners we discussed earlier. A study published in Cancer Prevention Research by the American Association for Cancer Research demonstrated that EGCG suppresses the growth of prostate cancer cells by inhibiting the androgen receptor signaling pathway. A separate study published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences showed that EGCG inhibits angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels that tumors require to grow beyond microscopic size. The compound achieves this by suppressing VEGF expression, vascular endothelial growth factor, the exact chemical signal tumors use to hijack your body's blood supply. What makes EGCG particularly extraordinary from a clinical standpoint is its selectivity. Multiple studies, including research from the University of Heidelberg, have demonstrated that EGCG triggers programmed cell death in cancer cells at concentrations that leave healthy cells virtually unaffected. It recognizes on a molecular level the difference between a cell that belongs and one that does not. An Italian clinical trial published in Cancer Research administered green tea catechins to men with a precancerous prostate condition called high-grade prostatic intraepithelial neoplasia. After 1 year, only 3% of the green tea group developed prostate cancer compared to 30% of the placebo group. That is a 90% reduction. The green prescription for green tea is 3 to 4 cups daily of freshly brewed green tea. Brew with water at approximately 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, not boiling, and steep for 3 to 5 minutes to maximize EGCG extraction without releasing excessive tannins that create bitterness. If you do not enjoy drinking tea, standardized EGCG capsules at 300 to 400 milligrams daily are a researched alternative. One important interaction to flag. EGCG can reduce the absorption of certain medications, including some blood pressure drugs and iron supplements. If you are on medication, separate your green tea intake from your medication by at least 2 hours and discuss with your physician. Food number 5. Garlic, specifically raw garlic that has been crushed and allowed to rest. This distinction is critical, and I will explain why in a moment. Garlic contains a sulfur compound called allicin. When raw garlic is crushed or chopped, the enzyme alliinase converts allicin into allicin. Allicin is the compound responsible for garlic's pungent smell. It is also responsible for an extraordinary range of anti-cancer effects documented across decades of research. The Iowa Women's Health Study, one of the largest prospective studies ever conducted on diet and cancer, followed over 41,000 women and found that those with the highest garlic consumption had a 50% lower risk of developing colon cancer compared to those who rarely consumed it. A comprehensive review published in the journal Cancer Prevention Research by the NIH analyzed multiple epidemiological studies and concluded that regular garlic consumption is associated with significantly reduced risk of stomach, colorectal, esophageal, and breast cancers. The mechanism involves multiple pathways. Allicin and its derivative compounds, particularly diallyl disulfide, known as DADS, and S-allylcysteine, have been shown to inhibit the activation of carcinogens, enhance DNA repair mechanisms, induce cell cycle arrest in cancer cells, and activate immune surveillance by increasing natural killer cell activity. Natural killer cells are the specific component of your immune system responsible for identifying and destroying cells that have become cancerous. Research from the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel demonstrated that allicin causes cancer cells to undergo apoptosis through mitochondrial disruption while preserving the function of surrounding healthy tissue. Here is the preparation detail that determines whether you receive these benefits or not. The alliinase enzyme that creates allicin is destroyed by heat almost immediately. If you throw chopped garlic directly into a hot pan, the allicin never forms. You get flavor but virtually no anti-cancer benefit. The green prescription is this. Crush or finely chop 2 to 3 cloves of raw garlic and let them sit exposed to air for 10 to 15 minutes before eating or cooking with them. During those 10 minutes, the alliinase enzyme completes its conversion of allicin to allicin and the stable sulfur compounds form. Once formed, these compounds are more resistant to heat, so you can add your garlic to cooking after the 10-minute rest period and retain meaningful anti-cancer activity. Alternatively, consume the garlic raw. Add it to salad dressings, mash it into avocado, stir it into hummus, or simply swallow finely chopped pieces with water like a supplement. 2 to 3 cloves daily is the dose most consistently associated with reduced cancer risk in the epidemiological literature. Now take a deep breath with me. That was dense material, 5 foods, dozens of studies, pathways, compounds, enzymes, but I want you to understand something important. You do not need to memorize any of this. You need to do just one thing. You need to put these foods on your plate consistently. The biology takes care of itself. Your stem cells know what to do with sulforaphane. Your immune system knows what to do with allicin. Your tumor suppressor genes know what to do with curcumin. You just have to give them the raw materials. That is the philosophy of the green physician. I do not prescribe pills when nature already grew the pharmacy. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Margaret, 67 years old, retired teacher. Came to me not with a cancer diagnosis, but with fear. Her sister had been diagnosed with breast cancer at 62. Her mother had passed from colon cancer at 71. Margaret was terrified she was next. She said, "Doc, I feel like I am sitting on a time bomb." I understood her fear completely. Family history does increase statistical risk, but I told Margaret something that changed her perspective. Your genes load the gun, your lifestyle pulls the trigger, or chooses not to. We built a protocol together. Every morning, a cup of green tea with lemon, oatmeal with a full cup of blueberries, a turmeric smoothie in the afternoon, golden paste with coconut oil and black pepper, blended with frozen mango, broccoli sprouts added to her lunch salad 4 times a week. And every evening, 2 cloves of crushed garlic resting for 10 minutes, then stirred into her dinner. She was skeptical. She told me, "Stephen, this seems too simple." 6 months later, her blood work told a different story. Her CRP, C-reactive protein, a marker of systemic inflammation, had dropped by over 40%. Her fasting insulin had improved. Her doctor at her annual physical said, and I quote, "Whatever you are doing, keep doing it." Margaret is still doing it. 3 years now. No cancer diagnosis, no medications, just 5 foods, eaten consistently, that her body knew exactly what to do with. Was it the food alone? I cannot make that claim, but the research strongly suggests that these compounds, consumed regularly over months and years, fundamentally shift the biological terrain of your body away from cancer and toward repair. Here is what I recommend you do starting tonight. 1. Add broccoli sprouts to your next grocery list. A small container costs less than a cup of coffee. Add a handful raw to one meal daily. 2. Buy a bag of frozen blueberries. Add 1 cup to your breakfast every morning. 3. Get ground turmeric and black pepper. Make a simple golden paste or add both to scrambled eggs, soups, or rice. 4. Brew 3 cups of green tea tomorrow. Let it cool slightly before drinking. Make it a daily ritual. 5. Crush 2 cloves of garlic tonight. Let them rest 10 minutes. Add to your dinner. These 5 steps cost less than a single doctor's visit. They take less than 10 minutes of your day. And the published evidence suggests they may be among the most powerful things you can do to protect your body at the cellular level for the rest of your life. How old are you? Write your age in the comments right now. I want to see who this information is reaching because it shapes what I cover in the next video. And tell me which of these 5 foods surprised you the most. I read every single comment. Your body is not a passive bystander waiting for disease to arrive. Right now, this very second, your cells are running surveillance programs, repair programs, cleanup programs that have been operating since before you were born. These programs do not need expensive drugs to function, they need the right inputs. And for millions of years before pharmacy existed, nature provided those inputs in the form of plants. The 5 foods I showed you today are not magic. They are biology. Measurable, reproducible, peer-reviewed biology that works through pathways your own cells were designed to use. The green prescription is not complicated. It is simply giving your body back the tools it evolved to run on. I am Dr. Stephen, the green physician, reminding you that nature already has the answer. You just need to know where to look. Take care of yourself naturally. And if this video gave you something your doctor never did, subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and share it with someone you love. It could change their life. I will see you in the next one.